Well, Livy, looks like we're, kind of in a special space. I like to think about you in a way that it's just such a joy to share your wisdom when you do your accents. I mean, I can't believe as a father, it doesn't get much better than that. I'm going to even flip my hair to the side. Let's see, where's my hair? Okay, here it is.
It's missing.
Yeah. My hair's getting blacker, and as I get older,
That's interesting.
yeah,
Reversal of fortunes.
yeah. Livy, as you look at your dad, can you see yourself in me?
Not with the mustache so much, but I think the glasses, yes. The chin, yes. I hope that not too many people are associating me physically with my father just because of the strange nature of androgyny that would make that really kind of awkward. But I do see myself in what way? You mean like do I see like a cunning lip? Like what do you mean?
Like a lip like that one?
Well, my lips are bigger
Mm.
than both of my parents. So I like to think that my parents actually, my lips are the sum of my parents' lips. Like, they kind of like put them both together and then they kind of stack them. And that's why.
so, so you got, okay, that's very interesting.
Some of us are blessed with stacked lips and some of us are, blessed with sort of subtracted lips. The subtraction of your parents' lips when you just kind of have like a line, and we all have our gifts.
Well, I had a number of friends, and I wish that they could have met you. I remember we had a friend, Wilhelmina Suchamuch.
Oh, yes, Wilhelmina.
And she just always wanted to be the star. She wanted to be. This lady was so into herself. When she opened the refrigerator and the light came on, she went, ta-da! You know anybody like that?
Do I know anybody? I definitely know a couple of people. I do personally feel that every day is another performance. And I don't mean that in the flippant way, and I don't mean that in the sad way either. Some people say, everything's a show, and I must continue the act, and the show must go on. I don't feel that way. I just feel like every day is a little bit of a performance. It's kind of, there's like elements of a musical in anything. Yeah. And so, I personally, I make a big production out of, washing the dishes, usually to something like, Chicago. Mm. He had it coming. He had it coming. He only had himself to blame. Yeah, it continues. Mm. But I do know some people who kind of make their daily lives more of a dramatic production, even more than I do.
Wow.
Yeah, it takes skill to be more dramatic than I am. I definitely think that.
Well, you offer a certain amount of drama, and, I think back of, some of the many people I met. I remember we were in New York and you were doing your British accent.
Yes.
And I was just so impressed. I told all my friends that my daughter is she's the daughter of myself and the Countess of Boom Boom. And I'd always do the boom boom, the Countess of man. And when you speak your, what is that called? English.
Elevated Queen's English.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't have a specific dialect, but I think, the sense of the Queen, royalty, the colonies, the empire, all going forward in one voice.
Well, these are the kind of things, I wanted the kids in the hood to hear you.
Mm.
And,
Yeah, well, that's a very good point. I don't think about that a lot, but, I actually grew up in the hood, which people usually don't believe me because I don't sound or look like I grew up in the hood. And I personally believe that the hood it's just a location. Any place is a location, but the hood thing that people expect that kind of rubs off on you from your place is really just a state of mind.
Yeah.
And so it's not so much about whether the people live in the projects. It's what they're doing while they're in the projects. Because I don't live in the projects myself, but I live near them enough to, see people, and I used to go to school in the area where it was pretty dangerous, whatever. But what you really learn is that it's not so much about where you're at the moment, but where you think you're going and how you're going to get there.
Wow. That's beautiful. Most young people don't have that sense of direction, and I salute you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
If you think back, if you look ahead, what do you see yourself? What do you want to be, do, and have? What really, floats your boat or twiddles your niddle?
Well, my niddles are usually twiddled. but are usually I really do get a great kick out of performing and creating music, and not just music but creating plots and concepts and all sorts of crazy things. And so I've done a lot of theater in school, even though I wasn't like that wasn't my main thing, but in on the side I really loved being a part of, theatrical stuff. And so I'm thinking of, looking more into that, as well as I think one of the most important things about being in my position as someone who is young and kind of sees the direction that I'm going and sees, like, where I've been and can kind of conglomerate that and understand what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most important thing is to also to give that light to other people, because it's so easy to be, just really self-involved with what I'm doing. Because, I've had a lot of blessings. I've gone to some really great schools. I'm at Columbia University now, so a lot of people are like, wow. But that's the culmination of many years of hard work and really just sometimes a lot of pain, and sometimes not knowing who I was. And I'm not completely sure I know everything about myself, but I do know a lot more about myself than when I started.
Wow.
And I, I was recently talking to a mother from the high school I graduated from, and we were just talking about how difficult it was at a predominantly white school to figure out who you are as a person of color, but also just a person, in the sense that these corporatized structures have a way of really just subtracting your identity and just making you, a worker or a whatever they want you to be. And so I really, part of what I really want to do, and I tried to do even in high school, was to give back to the students, to give to the children of color who have no hope that they can make it, because they feel as though they're always felt made to feel inadequate by their peers, by their teachers, by the administrators in the schools. So it's something where everyone expects you to fail, and you yourself aren't sure. So how can you know that there's farther to go? And so I'm working on speaking, and I try to keep in touch with as many of the girls from the school as I can, and really especially the ones of color, just to make sure that they're making it out of where they need to go, and starting to see the light for themselves of who they are, of what it means to be where they're at, because I think it's an incredible privilege to be a part of something so much bigger than myself, to go to private preparatory schools, to go to Ivy League schools. This is not just me. This is not just my ability and talent. My ability and talent definitely help, but it also has to do with, my upbringing and the history that has come before me that has allowed me to be where I'm at. Because my dad here, you yourself went to Columbia in 1964, one of two men of color to graduate at the time, and that's an incredible feat at that time. And it still holds water, because we're still not, like the majority or anything. I'm not saying that we should be, but I'm saying that even proportionate to the numbers of people here, the proportion of people in college is not the same. And definitely the proportion of males, black males, men of color, Hispanic males, just so many that are getting left behind. And I'm really just trying to give people a chance to hope for something else, to say, you know what, Olivia did it. I'm the first person on my mother's side of the family, I believe, to go to an Ivy League school, at least for undergraduate, I know for sure. And so, one of my cousins walked up to me and she said, Olivia, you are providing such a great example for how to be a unique person, but how to be successful and how to be a lovely person. And I was so struck by it, because I'm going through my life, through the daily whatever, doing me, trying to figure out what I need to do to get to break even. And I'm not really seeing the bigger picture sometimes, where it's the path that you lay for other people, which is you're building your own path, but people also walk on your cobblestones because you put them there.
Wow. That is so well said. As a dad, I am so totally proud. Almost, something I must have done right to deserve a lovely daughter like you. And
He had good karma, so
yes,
it was good.
yeah.
I can't express enough my thanks for both you and my mom. I think it's interesting, because I think a lot of kids have this single mother issue, and but it's such that, like, my father's not in my life right now. My father's not in my life right now. And I think that you guys gave me a great example of how one could still do what each individual person had to do, but still also amicably have a family, even if it's, even if, you're not, the two of you aren't doing what, like, you're not going in the same path anymore. And I think it's so interesting because I think so many people get caught up in the emotional stuff going on with their relationships with each other that they can't move in a logical path that's for the best of the children. And I'm not saying that people should stay married because it's for the best of children. That's sometimes not the best, because if it's a toxic situation for one or two parents, then they shouldn't be together. But they have to also, treat each other with respect and teach the children to treat each parent with respect, because that is something that I have always been taught from both you and my mother, that you guys have the utmost respect for each other. What you had didn't work out, but you were committed to the idea of raising a child and committed to the idea of supporting, what I wanted to do. And you guys have been there. If it wasn't one, it was the other. You've always been there for my events, supporting me since from infancy all the way to now, when you still fly in for if I have a show. And I love that. And I thank you so much for that, because it means the world to me.
Wow.
My daddy. My daddy.
Wow. Let it be known that this is the greatest daughter in the entire universe, that we always wanted to make her the center, that no matter what the different paths we were traveling, Olivia was always that common connection, that we looked at her as a seed, and that our job was to nurture it, was to cultivate it, was to pull up the weeds around it, and to clear space so that she could grow and become the great person that she is.
Well, let it be known that this dad and my mom, who you can't see right now because she's not here, but they have really done they've practiced what they've preached, and they've really made a commitment to me, but also that commitment to me also motivates me to make a commitment right back. And so I just want to say, for all the kids who, doubt their parents and what their parents are doing, it's not easy being a parent, I don't think. And I've watched my parents, sometimes struggle with whatever I'm going through and trying to figure out how to make that work between the two of them, or between just me, what's going on with me. And they've done an admirable job, and I appreciate my parents so much for showing so much respect for me as a person. Please, like, parents, just respect your kids. Like, respect them as people. That doesn't mean letting them have free reign. That doesn't mean, shopping with them because you're best friends. You're not, it's not your drinking buddy, but it's still a person with a genuine opinion about things and a different outlook and a different perspective. They're not you, but they're not not you, And I've really appreciated my parents for respecting that and encouraging it.
But thank you. And so it is.